In my usual content, I talk about birds, but I feel like it's important for me to also share my experience because when I was going through my divorce, I felt like I wasn't reaching out or asking questions, and it takes a lot to do that. So I admire you for asking this question first and foremost. Thank you. There were a lot of things that ultimately led to me making the decision to walk away. There were so many instances of infidelity, and I knew, at about the halfway point of my relationship with him, that there was this infidelity, and I continued to believe that it would get better. There were also many instances of like online infidelity, so like speaking to people online, and so that was really, really heartbreaking and really hard for me to process once I really realized the full extent of it. And mind you, when I first started this relationship, I was 16 years old, he was 20 years old, so there were a lot of factors that weren't necessarily okay. And looking back on it now, if my sister were in that same relationship, I would do my best to convince her and try to get her to understand why that age gap at that age is so important to recognize and be aware of the implications, and really just the overall what can happen when you're in a relationship where you might be being groomed. What does that look like? And I didn't have those answers at the time, obviously, because I even if someone presented me with those answers, I might have been so stubborn as to say it was fine and this person was the love of my life, but they were not. Any instance, whether it be emotional or physical or it doesn't matter. And so that was one incredibly inappropriate part, but then it just started really impacting my health, and my physical health more than anything else. My mental health obviously was in the trash. In addition to that, he also told me that it was my fault upon multiple instances as to why he was engaging in infidelity. And so that was also really hard because I actually believed that was my fault. And I look back on it now, obviously I know that it was not my fault, it was 100% his, but that's just how looped in I was and believing him and everything that he said, because I felt like he was older, so he had a better idea of what it looked like to be in a long-term relationship. But I was wrong, he wasn't dating people his age. That's weird. That's a red flag, looking back on that now. And even when I think about dating now, I live in New York City, it's such a big, wide, expansive net that you could cast, and so being aware of ages, even at my age of 28, is still so important, I think. And there were other things too, there were appointments that I had to get to, and there would be instances where we would actively it felt like he was trying to get me be late to these appointments so that I would miss them or have to pay some fee, and then paying the fee would stress me out because money was a big stressor at the time. Even though we had funds, it just I don't know, it was really weird. I was in control of our finances for the most part. I had insight into it, but it was, one friend pointed out to me one time, I was going to the grocery store and we were all shopping together, and I went up and I found something, and I went up to my husband and I was like, oh my God, can we get this? And my friend's like, why are you asking him if can we get this? And for the longest time that rang in the back of my head, and I was like, what do you mean, why wouldn't I? I obviously have to go to him and ask him if we can get this. And now looking back on it, it's so dystopian because I would never do that. But in my mind, that was completely normal. That was normal for our relationship. And he would, it was really hard to walk away from. It took a lot of strength, and me moving myself from Chicago to New York City really helped, honestly, and not being in those same environments, and really having my friends to lean on, and building community in a completely new environment that feels like my own. So that's the biggest recommendation I have. It was really hard, and I'm sending you a lot of love and a lot of luck, but hopefully hopefully it's not as hard for y'all. But comment if there's any other questions that you have. I love you guys. Bye.